in Metairie right now. I tell you, we're not on the air. We're having fun out here because it's all starting to happen right now before our eyes.
The crew of Argus is strutting its stuff, and once again, the theme this year, famous American festivals. And the float you're looking at right now is the captain of the crew of Argus. And check out that peacock, folks.
Yeah, kind of interesting, though. You see that peacock in the foreground, but look just beyond him, and you begin to see the first of the truck parades are also going by. Because immediately following the 21 floats of the crew of Argus come the innumerable floats of the crew of Jeffersonians and the Elks crew of Jeffersonians.
I think that just shows what a family affair this whole parade is.
The truck parades, I think, are probably one of the most engaging parts of Mardi Gras, not only in Orleans, but in Jefferson Parish as well, because while the floats are designed by the big float designers such as Blaine Kern, the rules of the road for the truck parade are you gotta do them yourself. All little family groups doing their own little thing.
Pasting on flower petals for months.
That's right, it does go on for months, and it's all done by hand, and it's a lot of fun. What we're seeing behind us right now is one of the marching bands, the LaSalle Marching Band, but I think that if our camera can get a look at what's just coming around the corner right now, we're seeing the Queen, saving me from fate worse than death. And here, I think you're probably seeing her in your shot right now, in the white dress, is Michelle Shane.
Right, the beautiful Empress at this year's festivity returns the cheers of her loyal subjects from her throne high upon a glimmering royal float awash with color. I didn't write that, folks, I just read it.
Well, what you're seeing, folks, you're seeing the winds of change blowing across Metairie's Mardi Gras celebrations. Until this parade, Argus also always used a celebrity queen. They called her the Empress, and this year, for the first time, they have a formal king and queen in the tradition of Mardi Gras. So in a sense, you might say that Argus is growing up in this, the 8th year of its life.
And you know, you and I had talked earlier, they expect over 500,000 people here today. You wonder, what would it be like if all these people headed downtown today? Where would they put them?
Well, I tell you what, somehow they'd squeeze them in there, and they just would. You know, it's always been wall-to-wall people at Mardi Gras, and it's kind of hard, I guess, to tell the difference between 1 million people and 1.5 million people. You got to be an expert to count them. But all these people at one time were downtown in the CBD. And all those folks you see out in St. Bernard at one time were downtown in the CBD. So it's grown up, it's grown out into the suburbs.
Now the crew of Argus is putting on some kind of show this year. They've got 21 floats, all spectacular, and 22 marching bands. And you can see another one behind us, the LaSalle High School Marching Band, all dressed in green and white.
And there's Michelle Shane sitting on the corner down there, in her beautiful white dress, on her float, and about, I'd say 100 yards behind her is her king, Herb Kamat. And we're just about to start moving again here right now, and I guess we're going to get a very good close-up shot of Michelle Shane as she comes by our cameras from our position here at the corner of Suburban and Veterans Highway, right by Lakeside Shopping Center. The music of the LaSalle Marching Band behind us, that's what you're hearing. And here comes our queen. You know, there are those who would never thought that the Metairie Mardi Gras would be as big as it was. I can remember as a reporter years ago suggesting that, well, maybe we ought to go out to Metairie and do a story on the Mardi Gras out there. People were saying at that time, Ann, honest, go to Metairie. There's no Mardi Gras out in Metairie. Hey, Ann, is there a Mardi Gras in Metairie?
Is there a Mardi Gras? Unbelievable, folks. If you're sitting at home watching us, you just never expect what was going on out here.
It's really interesting to see the way the center of gravity is changing in New Orleans over the years. At one time centralized there in the CBD, and now all over the place. It's spread out all over our town.
And we're going to meet the King of Argus in just a minute, and we'll be right back.
Live back on Canal Street now, the Elks crew of Orleanians continuing to parade. We're up to truck float number 19 you're looking at, with a big mud bog. In fact, it's a man and lady mud bog on the front of that one, Lynn. Oh, watch out.
I've not seen this much animation in truck parades in a long time. This, as you see, we've only just begun. What we have on the floor, you would not believe. We have beads, we have doubloons, we have cups, but we're just starting a little pile, and we will check back periodically here to see how we're doing. But right now, we're going to check in with Bourbon Street, Buddy and Bob.
And we are back on Bourbon Street, Lynn. It's still crazy out here. Come here, I want you to see something. Come here, Dave. Come here, Dave. This is what a newspaper reporter. I just want you to know that newspaper reporters aren't any different than television reporters.
Wilma, I want you to know I'm doing all right. Don't worry, I'll make it home all right tonight.
See, everybody looks freaky on Mardi Gras, especially on Bourbon Street. This is the outfit that he goes to cover the negotiations of the Saints sail in, see? That's one of the reasons it's been holding it up. This is Dave Lagarde. Let me tell you, you don't need floats down here because we have the crew of balcony down here at Bourbon Street, right? The crew of balcony's been touring all day long.
I've lost my voice, I've lost my arm.
And you lost all your beads.
Well, yes, except for my precious Zulu beads. I can't. She wants us to hurry up.
Okay, the crew of balcony still throwing. They'll be throwing all day long because they recycle these beads and bring them back upstairs. Now let's go out to St. Bernard. Fat City. Okay, Fat City, guys. Hey, and here comes our king. Ann Mulligan and I are viewing King Herb Kamat, the first king of Argus.
That's right. You'll notice it's King Argus the First because although they paraded out here for 8 years, this is the first year that they've had their very own king.
Hey, and isn't this an interesting story? There's Herb Kamat, a guy we all know in politics out here in Jefferson Parish, ran for the state legislature and got defeated. And so he's not in the legislature, but I'd say he's doing okay, wouldn't you?
I would imagine so. And, you know, someone in this crew likes peacocks. This is the second glorious peacock. Of course, we'll call it NBC's very own, sitting right behind the king.
My gosh, only in Louisiana, only in Mardi Gras can you be king for a day. And Herb Kamat is king for the day. And what a day he's having up there.
Looking quite serious up there, I think. Maybe this cool weather's affecting him like it is us.
I don't know. It hadn't slowed you down, Ann. It doesn't appear to have slowed me down at this point. I think it just gets us a little frisky up here. A lot of these folks are pretty frisky down there. They're having fun. Herb Kamat runs a pathology laboratory out here in Metairie.
In his real life.
In his real life, that's right. So we'll be coming back here live as the parade continues to unfold past the corner of Suburban and Veterans Highway. Having fun, Ann?
Oh, yeah.
Having fun back there on Canal Street, Charlie and Lynn?
You can see what happens. Hey, come in. Come back, Brendan. Let him see you.
We have a gremlin on stage right now at the Mask-a-thon. This is a kid whose mama made that costume, handmade. The finalists are coming across now. They will choose the big winners in the Mardi Gras Mask-a-thon from these. It took 2 months for this little gremlin's mama to make that costume. And he's coming across for the judges to look at him. And each one of the people in the contest are coming across for their last big chance at the judges. Let's listen in on Steve Bellis now as he moderates this.
Why do we keep getting this shower guy? Wait a minute. We're out of order here. We're out of order. Okay, I tell you what, we're going to take him since he's here. You guys got his number. We have a complete shower right here. Whoa! We found out this morning that Bum Phillips actually constructed this shower. Assisted by the New Orleans Saints.
I seriously doubt that Bum Phillips
something about going down the
constructed that shower. Anyway, the Mardi Gras Mask-a-thon goes on, and right now back to Charlie and Lynn on Canal Street.
All right.
Great shower.
We're getting showered with beads
right.
here.
This is Oriental Splendor. This is float number 24 in the Elks Parade. Black and red and gold. Very Oriental touch here.
And the costumes, the headpieces on this are really nicely done. The
you know, Charlie, I have to tell you,
I cannot keep my
I have to say that the volume of things that are being thrown this carnival season is a barometer of the economy.
Watch out, here comes a spear.
Watch out, nice catch, Charles Dewey.
Here comes another spear.
We are, our pile is growing.
Watch out.
Woo! Good eye.
Now this is not intended to hurt.
No.
But it can sort of whack you a good one.
Sure it could. But what I was saying is, you know, when the economy is depressed, the riders cannot afford to go out and buy quite so many throws and beads and doubloons and cups. And I think what we're seeing here is an economy that is really rebounding and people who are doing well.
Sounds like an astute economic judgment to me, Lynn. We're going to make a 5-part series out of this. How to forecast the economy with Mardi Gras. Float number 25.
I've never seen such generosity.
And more beads. And the horns.
Whoa.
Hard to speak above the din of those horns, the blasting horns as they clear away down Canal Street.
And hard to speak when you're trying to guard your face and your life.
Here come a set of pearls for you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Watch out. Oh, here comes another close-up bead, you see?
Yeah, this is the problem. This is the problem when they send them over wrapped in packages.
Let's go to Ann and Alec in Fat City.
Oh, yeah, out here in Fat City, wouldn't you know it? Just as the camera turns out here, it looks like the parade comes to a halt. But what you're seeing back there, I think, are the truck floats that are going by at quite a clip now. I don't know how many there are. Did you have any idea how many there are might be, Ann?
How about lots?
Lots and lots and lots of truck floats coming by. From the two truck floats that are coming by are the crews are called Jeffersonians, and the Elks crew are Jeffersonians. And there are lots of folks down here just standing around waiting for this parade to resume again. King Herb Commott just went by a moment ago. And
we're going to throw it, I think, to the Mask-a-thon, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
And green armpits. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that completes the singles category of the semifinal. Let's have a big hand for all of them. They're standing right over here in the holding area. And let me tell you something. If anybody should be in the holding area, it should be you. Okay? Are we ready?
Oh.
Back on Canal Street, I think the camera went crazy when it saw olive oil and Popeye.
It'll give you seasickness real quick there. That's what you call 76 trombones on a camera.
I love that sliding arm, don't you?
More.
This is
float number 28, I believe, yes. Float number 28.
Snow and ice is basically the theme. It's ski fever. A fever that so many New Orleanians get around Mardi Gras time.
And today has certainly been a day to enjoy something cool to drink.
Yeah.
Out here on the parade routes. A lot of families on this one. You can see mothers and fathers and children. And
the Golden Promise is the next truck float.
Ooh. The beads keep piling up here.
Bottoms Up Incorporated is the group that's put this together.
I sort of watch for the guys with the big bags in their hands now. Look at this little one right in the middle of the float. I don't know if we can get a shot of this. They're little baby chairs.
Those are cute. No, we're on the next float.
I guess we'll miss that one. Again, very
Beasts
colorful.
Of the East. Yeah, this is tremendous headdresses on this particular truck. Beasts of the East. This is the second one with the Oriental flavor we've seen.
Again, many of these floats are made in backyards and carnival clubs. You're looking at an entire carnival club here on one of these floats. They will get together over the course of a couple of months, and as I said earlier, plan it, and then get together and build it, and everybody gets involved. Of course, most of the daddies get involved in actually constructing the floats, and most of the moms end up doing the costumes.
They do the costumes and make the sandwiches for Mardi Gras Day. Dragons, maybe you can read that. Dragon's Ladder.
Or later.
Or later.
This guy's throwing black and gold footballs.
Saints footballs. Hopefully New Orleans Saints footballs.
And let's hope they're not collector's items either. Little dragon-headed.
Lair.
Yeah. Float number 32. Write me a note. Again, this is really the tradition of Carnival at its best here. Everybody involved. Everybody can make a parade on any given day. All you have to do is get a few friends together. In this case, get a couple of hundred trucks together.
That's right.
And
in your next life, maybe you can start a Mardi Gras crew.
No, I want to be a bead maker. When I was in Hong Kong with the mayor's trip a couple of years ago, we saw where these beads were made over in Kowloon in a little sweatshop factory, and annually the captains and various people who buy these beads These are pressed out of plastic, of course. All the beads are plastic. They used to come from Czechoslovakia. They used to be glass beads. Of course, they outlawed those because they're too dangerous.
Right.
There you can see the label.
The big
made
Hong Kong label, yeah.
And I have thought many times over past carnival seasons about the little Chinese ladies slaving over these presses that make these strands of beads, and how easily they're tossed away. You're looking at a good bit of money here. A good bit of money stacked in front of us, and hundreds of thousands of dollars on these floats.
The Frolicking Jokers.
They estimate
in Gingham.
They estimate that about $40 million is spent annually on Carnival in New Orleans. A economist at UNO estimates $43 million this year. Let's go back to the Mask-a-thon with
Bill Yeager.
All right, the contestants continue to parade across the stage here. We have a kind of a nondescript general Mardi Gras maskers group here. Maskers around the world, those lucky maskers.
I don't blame you.
Steve Ellis is emceeing the thing and bringing the people across in their various costumes. The judges are checking them out, and before the hour's over, we'll have the big winner of the best costumes from Mardi Gras 1985.
Family of masks from around the area.
Let's go down and see what Steve has to say on the subject as he brings up the next group onto stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, that completes the family group of semi-finalists here. Let's give them a wonderful hand. Come on.
All right, we're not going to wait for the next group to come up. We're going to wind up and toss things back to Charlie and Lynn.
The judges, from Ben all the way down to Mark. Mike, how are you
Okay, Bill, thank you very much. And Elk's crew of Orleanians continues to pass. We're looking at float number 37 in the parade. Toy Soldiers on Parade, the title of this float. And they're all dressed up, very military style, flinging beads to the many people down here. Lynn just got waylaid by a pack of beads, and her headset got knocked off, and there you see the shot of Canal Street. You see our situation on Canal Street with the many crowds wall to wall here on Canal Street. And yeah, the crowd is really not thinned. We're waiting now for the crew of Crescent City to make its way onto Canal Street. They traditionally follow Elks, and there's a large gap in the parade right now. Still a lot of stuff going on, and we'll bring you more of Carnival 1985 right after this.
Before you let some clown sell you his chicken nuggets, try ours, Church's Crispy Nuggets. In case you haven't noticed, that other guy has only one flavor. But Church's has two, regular and spicy. Both are light and crispy on the outside, tender on the inside. And Church's Crispy Nuggets come with a choice of 4 delicious sauces. So why settle for a one-flavor nugget when you can have regular or spicy? Remember, any clown can make a nugget, but only Church's gives you a choice.
In Deutschland backen wir Strudel, aber in Amerika Pillsbury Toaster-Strudel, Strudel zum Toasten. Oh, 16 Lagen Blätterteig mit saftiger, fruchtiger Füllung, fantastischer Glasur. Ist es auch gut? So was habe ich noch nie getoastet. Oh.
New Pillsbury Toaster Strudel, now in your grocer's freezer.
You never toasted anything like it.
Live back on Canal Street now. You're looking at live pictures of our scene here at the right across from the Boston Club, which is a reviewing stand, which is now vacant, and Lynn is tending
trying
to
to get my headset back on after it was knocked off of my head.
I tell you, they have been very active this year, and you're looking at some of the maskers in stands alongside of ours. And people who are still waiting for the rest of the crew of Crescent City, the Elks crew of Orleanians, to make its way down Canal Street as the parades this afternoon continue. Crowds have been very nice, for the most part, very well behaved. We've had no reports of any incidents anywhere today, and things have gone very well. As you see now, the remaining units of the Elks Crew of Orleanians by the, and let's go back to Bourbon Street now with Bob Krieger and Buddy Diliberto.
Well, Bourbon Street is absolute madness, Charlie. Every time it comes, I know we say that, but believe me, it gets a little worse, or in the case of Mardi Gras, a little better every time we come back. Our security guard who's supposed to be helping us keep a little room here for the discussions is having the toughest time of all, right? I tell you what, now I know what it feels like to be on the 1-yard line. And that was Buddy just got shut out by his own helmet. Well, we have people all over the place. Hang on. Now, wait, guys. Hey, we're getting pushed out. Buddy, can you live through this? I don't know if I can live through it. Every time you start to talk, somebody puts the chair down. Yeah, Mr. Wolfman, we have the Wolfman coming in. All right, how you doing?
All right.
Well, look at the camera.
I'm having a nice Mardi Gras there.
Get back. I'd ask him if it was hot in that thing, but I can't understand a word he's saying behind that mask. Okay, so I'll tell you what, bud. We're going to try and get ourselves back together again out here on Bourbon Street. In the meantime, let's go back to Lynn and Charlie on Canal. Lynn and Charlie.
All right, thank you very much, Bob and Buddy. We're back on Canal Street. The Elks Truck Parade floats are beginning to roll again. We had a little lull in the action for a moment.
Mickey and Minnie Mouse making their way back through the crowd.
Just still readjusting my headset. You know, when those beads come at, what, 100 miles an hour? Martina Navratilova has nothing on these pictures.
I'm kind of watching two others make their way, two other floats. Old MacDonald Had a Farm is the title of this one.
This is cute. They're all dressed in denim with bandanas and straw hats.
Really well done.
When I was referring to Martina, I think, has a tennis serve of about 90 miles an hour.
Whoa!
And I dare say if we put an odometer on one of these beads and clocked it, it would have to be going somewhere around there.
Those are young kids tossing those beads like that.
Let's go back to the Mask-a-thon, Charlie, and see what's going on. Bill Yeager's standing by.
All right, we're coming up with the duos, the groups here. The double duo is the first group on the stage. Let's go down and see what Steve Bellis is saying about this.
Keep those arms. Happy Mardi Gras. In a tutu. Wait a minute, I gotta ask you something. Just a second here. What's in this thing? Is there anything legal in here? Don't spit it
There
on
is
me.
quite a group coming up here. I don't know whether we're going to be able to stick around for this or not. There's a group with some special effects coming up. Merlin and the Evil Warlock, which is a fun group to see here. The various groups are coming across now being judged for the finals. These people were chosen from a great number of people who came across this morning. A lot of fire and flash in this next group. And
the Wizard.
Let's get them up there.
Sorcerer. Where do you see these guys? Come on up, guys. Whoa, my.
Let's see if they do their thing here.
Boy, that's strange.
They're store-bought masks, but the costumes otherwise are homemade, and of course the special effects are great. Let's go on out now to Ann and Alec.
That's what we call in New Orleans a shoo-shoo.
Well, we're out here in Metairie where we're watching the Argus Parade go by.
And this float that's in the background is the title float. That's Famous American Festivals, and you might notice a giant scroll bearing the theme of this year's extravaganza. They're kind of depicting all the festivities and carnivals that go on all around the United States.
Meanwhile, right in front of them, there's a group of flag wavers doing their thing out in the streets here in Metairie. Well, they just quit doing their thing, just as we said they were. Kind of interesting. I don't know if you can see it or not, but the traffic lights are still operating right there at the corner of Suburban. People have been running this red light all day.
I think you could call this a major traffic jam out here this afternoon. Thousands and thousands of people.
What's amazing, really, is that it all works as well as it does. What a great orderly crowd we have out here. I've been watching this go by for about 4 hours right now, and I haven't seen what I would call a single untoward incident.
I would agree with you. I feel very safe standing up here next to you also, as long as we're elevated.
The only untoward incident I've seen is they towed away a few cars. And that's a shame, too. But in any event, Okay, let's go back to Canal Street, Ann Mulligan, where Charlie and Lynn are standing by.
Wow! No,
You couldn't see that. But
I tell you, thank you very much, all these people. Look at that. Okay, here we go. Let's compose ourselves now here in the Elks Parade. Spinning Strawberry. Must be a group maybe from Ponchatoula, would you say?
absolutely, the strawberry capital of the world up there.
As the worm turns.
That's a worm and an apple. That's not a strawberry.
Okay. Well, you know, we're looking at these floats. We start trying to review them and tell the audience at home. When the floats are about a block away, and even with my contact lenses in, sometimes an apple looks like a strawberry. Don't rain on my parade is what Mary Stuart Smallpage said, Queen of Carnival, and she got her wish. And here,
it's a cute little apple somebody threw over here off that float. You see, as the worm turns, they were throwing apples off the float.
With the little worm.
With the little worm. I think that's
it's
really
a bank,
thoughtful.
Charlie. It's a little bank.
Well, I don't have anything to put in there. Put my carnival beads in
Put your
there.
doubloons in there. Don't rain on my parade.
Again, you're looking at the Elks crew of Crescent City, and we'll be back with more on Mardi Gras 1985 right after this.
Put these men to work. They are skilled installers, but don't work much this time of year. Hi, I'm Renee Zeiler. Now is the best time to put these men to work, during the off-season. Does your home have the uglies? Call LAS for new siding, soffit, fascia, gutters, and windows. Our off-season prices and money-saving products add up to big savings for you. If you call today for a free estimate, you'll receive a free gift. Call LAS now, 887-1515.
Governor Edwin Edwards entered his second administration with a popularity unmatched since Huey Long. Yet his career has been surrounded by controversy. The World's Fair, the tax increase, the Saints, and 3 grand jury investigations. Has all of this affected his ability to govern our state? In a candid interview, News Center 6 political specialist Clancy Dubose talks to Governor Edwards to find out his feelings on his past, present, and his future. Edwin, starting Wednesday on News Center 6 at 6 and 10.
Here we are out here in Metairie one more time, and the parade is moving by, and we just got ourselves bombarded a minute ago by Famous American Festival.
Definitely out here. But the float we have coming up, this is Mrs. America, who's Mrs. Deborah Wolf. She's the 1985 princess of the crew of artists. She's 27 years old, has 3 children, been married 4 years, was a former Miss West Virginia, and lives now in Huntington, West Virginia with her family, and she is quite lovely.
And I bet she's never had as much fun in her life. Back there in West Virginia, they just don't do this sort of thing. Not if you got your head screwed on straight, right? I would say that nowhere else could you do this except in New Orleans, Louisiana. Here, whoa! Don't duck, Ann. You got to learn to have the wrist action.
You protect me then.
Well, I can't. I'll turn this way. Maybe we can catch a few things as they go by. So here comes our next float. Can you read what that is back there?
This is Hail to the Chiefs, and I think you'll see some very familiar faces on this float. Like how about one of our All-American presidents, Thomas Jefferson, and also Abe Lincoln and George Washington are all proudly displayed.
It's coming around the corner right now as the Parade of Argus moves through the Metairie area right now. And just behind it in the distance, you can see coming up more of the truck floats that are coming by, probably hundreds of those.
This parade moves about as fast as I-10 at rush hour.
Well, here's what's happening. Very good. Here's what's happening right now is the reviewing stand is about 100 yards from us down the street, and every single solitary float stops there for just a moment to be reviewed by the officials of Argus, and as a result, it tends to stop rather quickly.
That's right. Our marching bands are doing a lot of marching in place this afternoon.
The Donaldsonville High School band is down there right now, performing as they're coming around the corner. And I see a truck float with a couple of dice on top of it going around behind it. Whoop, duck, Ann.
And maybe if our cameramans can swing over a little bit, maybe we can check out our Mrs. America.
Get a real good shot of her. Hey, I just missed it. Throw one. I caught it. Mrs. America just threw me a doubloon, and I caught it in my own little hot hand. How about that?
All right, I think we're going to take a little break out here in Metairie. We're going to go to the Mask-a-thon, but we'll be back for more.
Caught from the hand of Mrs. America.
All right, thank you. I guarantee that this will always happen. While you were in Metairie, we were watching a giraffe fall over an elephant. I swear it's true, as the Jungle Love contestants went across. Right now, it's Mardi Gras clowns on stage. And, I don't know that there's anything to listen to, but let's see what Steve Ellis is doing up there with those clowns.
I say.
This is part of the non-family group competition. The Cockroaches and Exterminator are next, so you can tell this is definitely a New Orleans institution.
Thank you. I think he said all there is to say. Thank you, the group, or crew of Unnormals.
Okay, here come those cockroaches. If you're a native, you'll recognize these guys.
Oh, boy. I love it.
Or at least their costumes.
You guys got to do the killing scene, okay? Somebody's calling me here. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, talk about suck them heads and pinch them tails.
Oh, wait a minute. The cockroaches are being preempted for a moment, and a 65-foot crawfish is coming onto stage. We were wrong about what kind of bug. It was a mud bug. This is quite a costume. 65 feet long. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in the crawfish.
Look at those claws.
Okay, we'll be back with more from the Mask-a-thon. Let's go out to Ann and Alec again.
Yeah, we're back out here in Metairie right now, and here comes the Hail to the Chief float.
Right, spectacular float once again. Some familiar faces: Thomas Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, and George Washington, proudly displayed.
Yeah, but the nice thing about this float now, I think our luck has finally changed, Ann Mulligan. You're about to get bombarded, kid, because you're going to see what happens when one of those floats comes right alongside you and get a spectator's eye view of what it's like to be in one of these parades. So here it comes. Turn around and get ready to catch. Okay, mister, right here. Do it. You're on TV. Let's have it. We're getting beat to death. Oh! Famous American festivals are going by with Jefferson, Lincoln, Washington.
I'm going to say if these guys don't make it on floats, they can make it as major league pitchers with the arms they've got.
How you doing as a major league catcher, Ann?
Not very well, Alex.
Oh, I don't know about that. I've seen you do quite a little good wrist action here.
But right now, I think our audience can just get an idea of what's going on out here this afternoon and how many people are here.
Well, that's what's going on out here in Metairie. Now let's go back and see what's going on elsewhere in New Orleans on Mardi Gras of '85.
Well, we're back on Canal Street as Elk's truck number 55 moves its way down.
Nice breeze, by the way.
It's a lovely day. This is a Cajun barbecue.
Ma chère de passing a good time on that float, yeah.
Easy for you to say. Translation.
That's my St. John Parish upbringing. No, not really. People on board, now here come, these people look like gamblers. No, clowns.
At one point, we need to get our cameraman to do an update on our beads, but we're going to have to wait for that because we're going right back to Metairie, Ann and Alec.
Because we have more floats coming by right now. The parade is in motion at this time.
Now, as we had mentioned, the title of this parade is Famous American Festivals, and this one commemorates the Cherry Blossom Festival in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
You know, it really is amazing to see the crowds out here. The crowds that are just jammed wall to wall, 10 people deep right now at the corner of Suburban. We're going to get combat pay for this. I just got hit in the back by a cup, and I deliberately have my back to the parade right now because if I don't, I'm going to get my face messed up.
I'll protect you too, Alec. I'm glad for this clipboard.
And here comes another one of the bands behind us right now. I mean, this is really a fun organization out here.
The band's a lot safer to watch, too.
Well, they can't throw while they're playing.
Okay, we're going to take a break and go to the Mask-a-thon, but stay with us. Lots more is happening in Metairie.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we have only 2 groups left to be judged here. Right now, there's a group who obviously have dropped by the Café du Monde from time to time. We have a group of beignets, as we'll see when they finally get organized in the right order and spell what they are. Café Mardi Gras is what this group calls themselves.
That's not fair. That's artificial sugar. Ladies and gentlemen, they are serving artificial sugar with the beignets. That's saccharine. All right, give a big
I don't know how good any of these groups are, but they're all having a lot of fun.
Would you like a tip? Get out of the business.
The cheerleaders are up next.
No, I'm kidding. This is a beautiful group. Give them a big hand, everybody. Whoever heard of beignets being served with saccharine? I can't believe it. Okay,
here come the cheerleaders.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mardi Gras cheerleaders.
The cellulite of the world. Number 413, the cheerleaders.
Okay, you get the idea. Let's go on back now to Lynn and Charlie on up Canal Street.
I like it that. Are they the crew of Cellulite?
The makeup and the material that they put around those legs look so real. We're back with the Elks Parade on Canal Street, and we do need to do our periodic bead update. We're doing very well here.
They're being very look at this.
We're doing well, and we will also share with you what is on the floor in our next bead update.
Perhaps. We don't get pelted and knocked over before then.
How many times have you lost your hat?
I don't know, but we're going to...
But who's counting?
Take a break right now. We'll be back with more on Mardi Gras 1985 right after this.
Capacity. Of course, down here on street level, you see any and all kinds. Ma'am, I know you can't be from New Orleans to come down on Bourbon Street.
Well, I live in Portland, Oregon.
What do you think about it?
Oh, I think it's crazy.
This is your first time down here?
First time on downtown.
Is it what you expected?
I'd heard, but I don't think anyone could believe it. Nobody at home could believe it.
Have you gotten jostled around any tonight?
Oh, yeah, we've gotten jostled.
Listen, when you get home, how are you going to explain this to people?
They'll never believe it.
Well, you got pictures now. We'll be able to show them for you. Would you come back?
Oh, sure, I'd love to.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I thought that's all right. We got, come on in.
All right.
We got, come on in.
Oh, there.
All right, now I guarantee you didn't take any problem with getting down here. How are you making out?
Doing just fine, just fine.
You from New Orleans?
No, I'm from down Florida.
Down Florida?
Yeah.
You came all the way down here?
Yeah, a little ride. It's nice, though. Enjoying it.
First Mardi Gras?
First Mardi Gras, yep.
A little difficult maneuvering?
Getting around can be difficult, but people are pretty good. They move aside.
People are good, huh?
Yeah, people are having a good time, and everybody seems to be having a good time. So
enjoy our town and enjoy the Mardi Gras.
Sure will. Sure will.
Okay, thank you. All right, it's still pretty wild down here on Bourbon Street. We're going to go ahead now and throw it to Alec and Ann in Metairie.
I bet it's just as wild out here.
You're not kidding. It's wild out here right now. Wild out here as the Parade of Argus continues, as Blaine Kern's floats continue to go by.
We have a marvelous float behind us right now. This is Land Rush Days from Oklahoma, and it depicts the great Land Rush Day that's celebrated every year in Oklahoma. And then we have the one behind us from Wyoming, so we're heading out west, folks.
And look out, and duck. Here comes a couple of them.
Our cameraman wants me to lose my hat. That's
Jim Brown has been zeroed in on you one time. He said he got a great shot of you last time getting beamed by something or another. You know, we're talking about how many things have changed out here. You can remember in years gone by, we used to see floats being drawn by horses.
This was a placid little community, and now it's...
And you know what we're seeing now? We're seeing floats drawn by Russian tractors. Can you believe that? Used to be good old American tractors. Now they're good old Russian tractors. Very dependable, and the Blaine Kern organization switched to them some years ago.
And now the float coming around the corner is entitled Pioneer Days from Wyoming, and each year Wyoming celebrates this day to commemorate the early settlers of their state.
Now look at this one very closely, folks. I want to know, do you recognize that face on the front of that float?
Well, it's not JR.
No, it's not, but I'll tell you who it looks a lot like. If that isn't Harry Lee, I don't know Harry Lee. Harry Lee in a cowboy hat, and Harry Lee happens to be the lieutenant in charge of that particular float, so I'm sure they designed that thing to look like good old Harry. A frontiersman who prides himself on his 10-gallon hat and his western wear. Yeah, that's Harry. No question about it. I thought so when I saw it a half a mile away, and now that it's closer, we know exactly who it is. Pioneer Days in Wyoming.
The maskers on this float look pretty generous with their beads. I'm going to get ready.
She's going to get ready by getting ready to duck. But here they come. Let's take a look at the float as it goes by. Oh. And come up that one right against her map. Throw me something. I missed it. Well, I came close anyway.
Catcher's gloves out here.
I'll tell you what, they throw pretty well. Well, anyway, that's the story out in Metairie right now. The parade of Argus continues. You know, years ago I had a chance to ride one of the floats in a Mardi Gras parade, and the thing that's so hard about it is trying to decide how you're going to ration your throws so that when you get to the end of town, you're not out.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break, and Mardi Gras 1985 will be right back.
A check for all the money you need. If you own a home, it's easier to get the...
This is Bob Krieger. Now let's go out to Alec out in Fat City.
I think they're having fun, don't you?
I don't see how you could go down Bourbon Street and not have fun. But you couldn't come out here to Metairie and not have fun either, because the Argus Parade is really putting on a show for these folks.
Here we go again. Right behind us, we have the float called Holiday in Dixie, which is based here right in Louisiana. And you might notice a beautiful Southern belle who dons the front of the float, looking quite buxom.
Kind of interesting. We're down to float number 16 of a 21 float parade, so we're well over the halfway point right now in this. In a parade that almost disappeared a couple of years ago, the crew of Argus, you know, you may remember, fell upon some difficult times about 2 years ago. But boy, has it bounced back strong.
I was going to say, taking a look at it today, you certainly would never think it had any trouble getting off the ground.
Well, you know what the trouble was? It wasn't so much getting off the ground as much as it was that folks wanted to get back on the ground off those floats. Because in order to have the parade out here, they had to desert their families and get on a float and ride around. They really wanted to watch it. And so many people, in fact, did that. So many people dropped out of Argus so they could march around the streets that Argus almost died. And so they had a big reorganization campaign, and they told everybody who was in Argus, hey, if you want to watch the parade, you better get back in the parade or there won't be a parade. And so Argus reorganized, the money came back in,
and
the folks came back in, and look at it.
Looking real healthy.
Oh, boy, does it look healthy. And obviously, do the people of Metairie appreciate this sort of thing. I mean, look at the people who are out here today. I mean, they are just stacked out here.
Well, as we had talked before, this is much more, I suppose, a family-oriented place than perhaps the French Quarter is. Lots of families. It was like tent city when we came out about 9 this morning. Looked like people camped out for the night to get a good spot.
Oh, we found somebody in a tent right next to us that said they came out at 3 o'clock in the morning and pitched their tent.
Right. Cooked breakfast. Bacon and eggs.
And everybody's got their own little portable potties out here.
I wish there was one near here, to tell you the truth.
And is there something you're trying to tell me?
It's been a long afternoon, folks.
Are you saying we need a little commercial break here or something like that? No, we're just having fun. Anne's just kidding, I'm sure. Right, Anne?
Don't make me laugh too hard.
Oh, what fun out here in Metairie is. 500,000 people have a lot of fun. We're kind of in one of those little holding patterns right now.
The parade's been a little inconsistent in that it sometimes flies by us with great enthusiasm, and then sometimes there's a bit of a stop. But you can see behind us also are the trucks that are going to be lining up right after the major floats go by.
Of course, they just fall in behind them, and as soon as that last float, number 21, goes by, the very next one you'll see will be the first one of the hundreds of floats to take place for the crew of Jeffersonians and the Elks crew of Jeffersonians all the homemade floats, all the family events that make Mardi Gras out of Metairie is such a wonderful day.
And I think our camera might also have a shot of Float 17, which is the Hopi Snake Dance Festival, which comes all the way from Arizona. You'll notice a huge Indian head with feathered headband depicting the largest tribe in Arizona, where this festival is an annual event.
Just hang on, folks, and I know the parade's just about to start moving because the part behind us is in motion, so these should start moving any moment now. We'll have the Holiday in Dixie going by and then pick up on the Hopi Indians, and we'll continue to watch. Hey, I see some people. It's kind of interesting. Every now and again, you'll see somebody catch something down on the ground, and then they throw it back at the float.
Alice was almost lost her head there.
Whoa! Those are the Mardi Gras Cups. By the way, the Mardi Gras Cups, another kind of interesting thing. They weren't even here about 3 years ago until, let's see, Mr. Giacono was his name. He has a plastic shop out in Metairie. He started doing that sort of thing, and it has caught on like you wouldn't believe.
Well, they're also throwing bikini underwear this year, which I find quite interesting.
We have seen so much imagination out here in Metairie. We have seen people, we saw a whole family wearing one pair of drawers. See if you can describe that.
Well, they were dressed
in plain English.
I hate to say they were dressed as fruits, but they were the fruit of the loom, a whole family within one pair of jockey shorts. Very, very interesting. And here we come with our Hopi Indians, the Snake Dance Festival in Arizona.
And boy, the parade is moving right along. This is Metairie, folks. This is one of the areas where it's at on Mardi Gras, an area where just 10 years ago, nothing was at. And boy, how it's grown. Love to see things like this happening. Love to see Mardi Gras becoming a real family holiday that spreads all over town.
Now maybe in the background, just turning the corner behind me, is our next float, and this is the Miss America pageant. Of course, that's from Atlantic City, and you may see a giant bathing beauty gracing the front of the float. She's supposed to be right on the famous boardwalk of Atlantic City, the site of the Miss America pageant. And of course, the rest of the year, Atlantic City is a popular resort, hosting swimmers and seagulls and all of that you'll see on the float.
How about the old-fashioned bathing suit that you can imagine must have graced one of the very first Miss America contests many years ago?
I was going to say, that's definitely not Miss America 1985.
Let us fervently hope not. The Walker High School band is going by here. I'm not sure if that's our Walker or some other Walker, Louisiana.
And they're not walking, they're strutting, huh?
They really are. They really are. We're getting closer and closer, Ann, so it's time for you to prepare to put the clipboard behind your head, because I think you're about to get bombarded again with more throws coming from the Miss America pageant, float number 18 of the Argus Parade.
These floats out here have been very, very generous with their throws.
Very deadly, too, in some cases.
There we are, Miss America pageant, Atlantic City.
My microphone one. I knew this microphone was good for something. And have you ever seen anything like this in your life?
It's absolutely spectacular. I think most people think that the real action goes on downtown, but folks, it's Metairie this year.
Well, it goes on everywhere now. At one time, it was just regarded as restricted to the CBD and elsewhere in the French Quarter. Here comes another one of our floats coming into view right now.
The Fiesta de San Jacinto, all the way from Texas.
Float number 19 is the Fiesta San Jacinto, commemorating one of the battles for the independence of Texas.
Very colorful, marvelous outfits on the maskers in there. Wonderful crimson and green.
Okay, you ready to catch a little bit? Are you? You ready for it? Hey, let's have something right here. Right here. Come on, you'll be on TV with this. Got it. Hey, how about that? Throw one to our cameraman, right to our cameraman. One of the cups, I just caught a cup a moment ago of famous American festivals, and I have in my hand some beads, and we're watching the Fiesta de San Jacinto in Texas, float number 19. Metairie is just about finishing up out here right now.
Right now we're going to say goodbye from Metairie, and we're going to check out and see what Bill Yeager's up to at the Mask-a-thon.
And we've had a lot of fun, folks.
Right. This is all second place.
All right, are we on? Yes, we are. We are at the Mask-a-thon. They are just about to announce the winners. And let's pan over there.
Okay.
The Cabbage Patch Kid Reject is a plaque winner.
Thank you. Cabbage Patch Reject, ladies and gentlemen. Second place, you step right over there.
That's the second place winner in the single entrant category.
Most elaborate, the Black Russian. Yeah.
Okay, that's for the most elaborate costume, as you heard Steve Bella say. There are 2 awards, most elaborate and most creative in each category. And then the Rex organization will also give a Best of Show award.
Can you all see this? Okay. This is most elaborate, Black Russian, number 116. Congratulations, sir. You did a beautiful job. Hope to see you next year. All right, thank you. Let's come right over here. Big hand for that guy, huh? Now we're going to get to second place for the family group. Most creative, oh, I love this, Figment of the Imagination, number 200.
This is what you see when you've had too many Big Macs, and this is what you see in your dreams. Figment of the Imagination, a family group. Mom, Pop, and the little kid, all purple-faced, and of course with their strange costumes.
Hope to see you next year. Mom, you did a good job. All right, give him a nice hand, everybody. Right over there. Don't go down. I want you to stay up there. This is family group, second place for most elaborate masks around the world. All right, come on out.
All right, this is the rather large group with a lot of plumage. This is more or less a traditional Mardi Gras group because they do use so much in the way of feathered costumes. Masks around the world. Most elaborate costume, second place in the family groups.
All right, come on over here. Who gets the award here? I'll give it to you, dear.
I do the dishes.
You do the dishes, you get the award. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, nice hand for him. Big round of applause. Look at that little mask, isn't he cute? All right, right over into that spot. Stay up there now. Here we get into the second place category for couples. And we're into the category of most creative. You guys are going to love this too. The Wizard and Sorcerer.
This is the group that we saw earlier with their special effects. The evil sorcerer tosses his flame into the air, and the wizard has his staff, which has a CO2 cartridge in it. And there he goes now.
I think that pushed you right into that category. Very good.
Most creative.
Second place. That's beautiful. Most creative.
Second place in the...
Congratulations. Happy Mardi Gras to you.
Duo group.
Come on, give it to them, ladies and gentlemen. They really did well. Now we get into our weird category, thing I like to call non-family. Most creative. Jungle Love!
This is a big crowd favorite. You did not see this on the screen before, but this is a group that you might be called Friends of Tarzan. I mean, it's the jungle folk, from the natives who live there to the animals. They really are crowd pleasers. When they went on before, they were dancing to Puck Away, and the giraffe tripped over the elephant. They put on quite a show here.
O-D-O-D-O, right? Yeah. Okay, we got to go back to the couples here again. We forgot the most elaborate. The Queen of Diamonds and the Queen of Hearts, number 306. Come on up, ladies. Thank you.
Red velvet,
okay, the contestants
gold lame, and gold faces for most elaborate in the couples group.
Here comes the Queen of Hearts. I'm going to present it to you. Happy Mardi Gras to you. Thank you. All right. Now we get back to the non-family once more, because we had the most elaborate here. This is second place. Most elaborate, the Cockroaches and the Exterminator. Whoa!
Also, obviously, a big crowd favorite.
Thank you.
Nobody likes cockroaches, but for some reason or another, everybody always responds great to them. In a situation like this, cockroach costume is bound to bring out chuckles from people who live in New Orleans.
There we go. Very good. Thank you. All right, turn around and let everybody see you. Big hand for the cockroaches and the exterminator. All right. We're running out of room, but I tell you what, we still have some more awards because we're getting into first place for the first ever Mardi Gras Mask-a-thon. Okay, we need to clear the stage. Okay, everybody, which way do you want to exit? To stage right, that's over this way.
We're going to have a logistics problem here.
A big hand, everybody, for the second place finishers. All the groups.
Because they've got to get these people off the stage. Because I've just had a peek at what's about to be announced, and they definitely are going to have room on the stage.
All right, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. What a group.
We're headed for the big winners now at the Mardi Gras Mask-a-thon.
And if you think the second place finishers were really astounding, wait till you see the first place.
This is the first time that this has been done, of course, the Mardi Gras Mask-a-thon. It's a TV6 production, but I should point out it's also done in cooperation with the Mayor's Mardi Gras Coordinating Committee, the Rex organization, and McDonald's, all helping us sponsor this. And Errol LeBoard, who helped with the Mayor's Committee and also, of course, is one of the associate editors at Gambit, came up with this idea, brought it to us, and the various organizations worked together to present what we hope is going to be an annual event and a very successful one. Most creative. The first place, most creative award goes to the little gremlin that you saw earlier on the screen in one of our cut-ins. He's making his way up to the stage.
This is the head gremlin. The head gremlin with the white on the top of his head.
This little gremlin's mother made that costume. Took her 2 months to make it.
All right, this is first place, most creative costume, single, the gremlin. Congratulations, happy Mardi Gras. That's terrific. Give me back my script. That's it. Can you hang on to it? Might be kind of hard. Let's see, one of my helpers over here. Okay, good. I was afraid it might slip out of your hand. Just step right over there and we'll get on with the next category.
That's right. Give him a plaque, but do not feed him after midnight.
Most elaborate.
Gremlin. Okay, we're going to
Neptune from the sea.
The most elaborate Neptune from the sea. And this, too, is a more traditional Mardi Gras type costume. Lots of plumage, lots of sequins, pearls, and gold lame. And this is a fellow who looks like he might well be a contestant in years past on the costume contest that went on Bourbon Street. It's the type of costume that was a winner many times.
I see you've been to the parades, too. How do you feel about winning
obviously, the judges like it.
I don't know what to say. I worked on this costume for 12 weeks. Made the beard, the wig, the applique, everything.
Well, I tell you what, I think he deserves it, don't you? Real winner. First place, most elaborate, Neptune rising from the sea. Just step right over there, next to the gremlin. All right, let's get into first place for the family group. This is most creative. We have something from the American Dental Association, the family of toothpaste. Yeah!
Okay, the toothpaste guys, most creative.
These guys are full of fluoride, which explains why they're so crazy.
I knew if they didn't win a plaque, they would at least fight plaque.
And here comes the award. All right. Now, don't worry about it. I'm not going to give you the brush off, okay? They actually paid me to say that. Can you believe it? Hi, honey. How do you feel about winning? Fine. Do you brush your teeth? Did you get a... You got a good cavity report or anti-cavity report, right?
I got it good.
Oh, you got it good. I guess so. She walks around dressed like a tube of toothpaste. What do you expect? No, this is first place. Most creative costume for the family group, and it goes to you guys. You did a beautiful job. Thank you. Nice hand for the family of toothpaste. All right. Just step right over there. Oh, no, yeah, just right over there. Try not to trip over our stage manager, okay? Very good. Okay. Family group. Most elaborate, and certainly the most polite, Japanese family.
All right. This is a family group, two little children and the two ladies, the Japanese family. The two kids are into the martial arts, and of course the ladies have their kimonos and their parasols, and Whether it's appropriate music or not, they're bringing them on with a lot of noise.
You were actually in the right place. First place, most elaborate costume. Who should this go to? Right over here? You, ma'am? Thank you. Arigato. Pardon? Saranara is good. Yeah, that's fine with me. You guys are terrific. How do you feel about winning?
Good.
You feel good? How about you?
Good.
Are you guys karate experts?
Mm-hmm.
You are? Judo. Okay, well, I don't think we need a visual aid here to explain it all. You guys did terrific. First place. Give them a big hand, everybody, the Japanese family. Okay, step right over here if you like. Right over here. Thank you. Here come the couples, first place. This is a third category, or at least families, singles, couples, and non-families. This is creative, and Ronald, with apologies. The Popeyes Fried Chicken Dinner!
Certain irony here. He apologized to Ronald McDonald, who is over with the panel of the judges, and of course McDonald's was one of the co-sponsors of the Mask-a-thon. One of our winners here are the Popeyes entrants. They're disguised as two Popeyes tables with the whole menu on them. Ronald's a good sport about it. He's over there grinning and applauding.
Did you do all this? You did? It really showed. It's really creative and kind of thought-provoking, too. How do you feel about that?
I love it.
How about you? Same, Louis. What did you think when your wife told you a few weeks ago that you'd be in a checkered tablecloth? Well, she's a little banana, so it's okay. You bought it, right? Sounds good to me. First place, everybody. They did good. All right. Now, if you'll just step right over there. And of course, after Popeye's chicken dinner, you should always brush your teeth. Right? All right. Most elaborate for couples. The Duke and Duchess of Orleans.
All right, this goes back to a more traditional Mardi Gras costume. They're in the Mardi Gras colors, the purple, the green, and the yellow. Lots of plumage here, lots of sequins and the silk or pseudo silk. Very much the Mardi Gras spirit.
I've been on there, they all and they all ask for you.
They all ask for you. Yeah, this is great. Couples, first place for the Duke and Duchess of Orleans. Beautiful costume. This is great. All right, here's your first place award. I suppose it should go to you. Okay. Yeah, who's the brainchild behind this? You are. I am. Well, I tell you what, you did good. You did fantastic. Are you going to be back next year?
Probably.
You will, huh? But you got a tough road to hoe here, tough act to follow. That's all we have to do is do that next year. All right, give him a big hand, the Duke and Duchess of Orleans. One man music out. Thank you. Oh, come on, everybody sing. We're getting down here. We're just getting right down to the final lines here. All right. Let's see. We have first place for the most creative. And since we happen to be in a part of the song that deals with food, I can think of no better choice from the judges than the 65-foot crawfish. Yeah!
Big prize and a big entrance. Here comes the mud bug.
Get him up on stage.
65 foot of paper mache and materials and paint and the family peeking out overhead, or the non-family.
Here they come. Look at those.
Got the crew supervising this because a lot of the contestants can't really see very well as they come up on stage, and of course some of those costumes can be broken or bent if they run into each other.
In two-way communication with the rest of the group.
The crawfish is 65 foot long. The girl in back has had a lot of trouble from traditional crawfish eaters. You know how you eat crawfish.
Hang on to that phone. Thank you. All right. Oh, let's see, I'm at the tail end of the group. No, you're not. You're doing terrific. Let me just ask you, how do you feel about... I should be speaking to the head of the group, but...
Oh, the rear end's a lot more important.
That's why you get the award, I guess.
Oh, gee, thank you. But I think the credit goes to Eric Martin, who's in the front of the crawfish.
All right, Eric, give Eric a big hand, everybody.
All right, Eric! Eric is a creative genius. I think that Wayne Curtis should hire him.
I think he should. Okay, we've taken care of Eric's unemployment problem. He's been unemployed for 2 years. Just kidding. Okay, we have first place for most creative costume non-family group. You guys were terrific. All right. Give him a big hand, everybody, as the crawfish. All right, hang in there, crawfish.
If there are many more awards, we're going to be in serious trouble here. There's not much room on the stage. They're conferring, waiting for word from the judges about the overall big prize.
Thank you. Give him a big hand. Okay, somehow we have to vacate the stage, so why don't we start with the toothpaste? Yeah, they're going down.
All right, they've got so many people on stage with the winners, the multiple individual groups, of course, that they've got to clear off the stage in order to be able to move out there and make the next presentation. I should mention that among the judges is NBC's Doris Roberts. She's from the program Remington Steele, and she'll be presenting the Great Big Award, the Best of Show Award, which is selected by the Rex organization, which is one of the sponsors. Of course, another sponsors, McDonald's, and Ronald McDonald is on stage for the presentation, too.
Hey, let's hear it for Max, everybody. Okay, crawfish, you can back up a little bit. Put yourself in reverse and go on down the stage right side.
Steve Bellis can't make up his mind whether to dance, sing along with Fats, or just supervise getting the crawfish off the stage. No small accomplishment.
There we go, down the stairs. Oh, yeah. That's, if somebody doesn't make you a meal first, right? Okay. Thank you, Gremlin. Most creative, 65-foot crawfish.
We're about to get up to the big award. Oh, I beg your pardon. One more category to go?
Family group. And we're going to announce it right now. Most elaborate. Looking for Arthur. Ta-da!
All right, the most elaborate non-family group is a group called Looking for Arthur. And this, again, is one of your plumed and sequined groups. They're having trouble getting to the stage. There seems to be a 65-foot crawfish between them and the stage.
Most elaborate.
Somewhere there are a lot of naked ostriches running around because there are a lot of plumage there.
All right. That's beautiful. Now, who gets the trophy? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter? You guys are a Democratic group. I'll give it to you. Only because you're the closest to me. How do you feel? How do you feel? Fantastic. Isn't that great? How about... Yeah, my sentiments exactly. You did an absolutely gorgeous job. Even without the music, you got the first place, huh? That's fantastic. Okay, I tell you what, we're going to turn the show over to Doris in just a second. So if you would exit stage right, hope to see you again next week.
All right, we're going to come back here in just a few minutes and get the final big presentation.
And the non-family group.
What color eyes are you hiding behind those glasses?
Kind of.
All right, we are back live at the Mask-a-thon and ready for the big award. This is the Best of Show, and this will be presented by Rex. That is, Rex has selected it. Doris Roberts and Ronald McDonald are on stage. Let's go down there.
All right. From Remington Steele, please welcome Doris Roberts. And Doris, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, and we'll get into that Best of Shows.
All right, thanks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been quite a day, hasn't it? Those costumes, the originality, the elaborate costumes, incredible fun of it. It's been a hard decision for Best of Show, but we've come to a decision, and it is the crawfish!
Whoa! Come on up, guys!
Come on up.
Yeah, they're going to come.
Give me some music.
The problem now is to get that 65-foot crawfish turned around, get it through all the crowd, and back up on the stage to receive the award. They're boogieing along there, making their way up to the stage.
Come on, let's go. Best of Show Award.
Best of Show. This is the best costume, Mardi Gras 1985.
Might want to move down this way.
And this is what you've got to shoot at next year and the year after that and on into the future as the TD6 WDSU Mask-a-thon, co-sponsored by the Mayor's Mardi Gras Coordinating Committee, the Rex organization, and McDonald's, continues on and we hope becomes a very big Mardi Gras tradition. By the way, that's not a contestant up there at the front of the crawfish in the odd costume. That's photographer Larry Travis from TV6.
The winner of the Best of Show, the crawfish.
Is that how you shake hands with a crawfish? You put your hand in its mouth?
Stick in his mouth, Ronald.
I'd like to thank everybody behind me. These guys put in all the time, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
The crawfish.
There we go.
And that's it. That's the big award from the Mardi Gras Mask-a-thon 1985.
All right.
Hey, fun lovers.
Canal Street now, and Lynn, I got to tell you, as we're watching the truck parades continue to go by, from where I stood or sat, the Mask-a-thon was a tremendous success.
I think it is going to become, from here on out, an integral part of Mardi Gras.
And I know this lady I'm going to talk about is not going to call her own name, but Shelley Paul of our staff.
Shelley Hobson.
Shelley Paul Hobson.
That's right.
Did a tremendous job in getting that Mask-a-thon together with her staff of people in the marketing department of TV6, and of course in conjunction with the Rex organization and
McDonald's and the city of New Orleans.
Right.
It was a joint effort, and what a tremendous success. I cannot believe the work that went into those costumes. The most creative and most beautiful costumes I think I've ever seen.
But you know, early on this morning we saw the family of the toothpaste family walking down Canal Street, and we thought they looked good right from the start.
And the crawfish
and
also.
We saw the crawfish come
65-foot,
past here.
which took all the big awards.
I don't know if people could see it at home, but the head of the crawfish has a little radio transmitter, and he was transmitting instructions to the tail of the crawfish.
Exactly.
So the crawfish wouldn't split apart and become discombobulated, as it were.
Well, 65 feet is a long way to travel from head to tail.
Indeed, indeed. But there have been some great costumes that we've seen all during the day today, both here on Bourbon Street and, of course, at the Mask-a-thon.
I have to believe, though, and I know we're tooting our own horn, but I have to believe that by us staging this Mask-a-thon was sort of the impetus for people to get up and begin masking again.
I hope you're right, and I think you're right. And without a doubt, we've begun a new carnival tradition here. We don't like to blow our own horns. Of course we do. We say we don't, but of course we do.
I don't think anybody would argue with us, though.
No, I don't think so. I think it ended up being a very, very nice event. And all of Carnival Day today, the sun wasn't broiling. Thank goodness the people over at Trosclair's Costumes on Marrero took care of us very well today.
That's right.
And we didn't broil in these things.
The most beautiful costumes I think I've ever seen, as far as costumes to rent. Trosclair's, Mrs. Trosclair, I don't know if people at home know her, but she's a marvelous woman who hand sews each of these costumes, many of them in various time periods. And I remember I asked her when I was trying on this particular costume.
Oh, you got one.
Thank you, sir.
Heads up.
Well, what kind of headpiece will I wear? And she said, no, in 16th century England, the women did not wear headpieces. So they are not only talented, but quite knowledgeable about the costumes. I think it's about time for a bead update before we lose everything that is on our table.
Take a look at this stack of beads,
folks. When we last left you about an hour ago, we had a very nice, modest stack of beads. Hopefully at one point our camera will be able to get a picture of this not too modest stack of beads. We've done quite well. Here's the little fruits of our labor.
Well, we didn't have to do too much work for this. Mostly defend ourselves
Protection.
from stuff coming off the truck floats
Look at
there.
this. Can you
I mean, it's about to go over. And it's about...
The people down there don't know it, but we are going to share with them.
Yeah, we're going to create a small riot.
We're going to create a riot, and we're going to start unloading. Maybe it'll help ratings.
No, I don't know.
As long as you don't hit them hard.
Elks Crew of Orleans continuing down Canal Street, and they're about at the end of their parade. And, of course, Crescent City is behind them. And goodness knows how long the trucks will be rolling here on Canal Street. Usually, the trucks roll right up until Comus rolls tonight. And, of course, Comus is the last parade of Mardi Gras. Number one, the man who rides through the streets of New Orleans, unknown except to the crew members, of course. Probably the most secretive organization of all of the carnival organizations is Comus.
The Mystic Crew, yes. And of course, the final float would have to be the crew of sanitation.
They did. We saw them last night, and of course, we have to, in addition to crediting the sanitation department, give a lot of credit to the New Orleans Police Department.
Absolutely.
These guys have done one heck of a job this year.
They could write the manual on crowd control.
Without a doubt. We were talking about the barricades much earlier. People have been attentive. There have been several reports, I know, in the crowd Sunday night and again last night, that policemen were actually cheered when they made some of the arrests, that people being taken off because of being drunk or a little too rowdy, that the crowds around them were actually cheering the police as they hauled them away and put them in the paddy wagon.
We have not had any problems here. It has been the most delightful. The weather has been fabulous. The crowds have been fabulous. The floats have been beautiful. The riders have been generous. I don't know what more you could ask for on a Mardi Gras day.
And what we're looking at now is Canal Street, of course. And, you know, this crowd is not really thin. This crowd continues to be about the same size as it was when Rex came through at about noon today.
Right.
And that's surprising to me. I've seen several surprising things today. One, of course, is the Mask-a-thon. That it was a tremendous success that it was. And the crowd is still hanging around. They can't get enough.
You're right. That's a good point. Usually, after the truck parades, when they begin rolling, or after you've seen your first 100 trucks, people begin to venture into the quarter. Possibly, Charlie, quite possibly, they cannot fit into the quarter.
It's always a tough thing. You know, a lot of New Orleans families, New Orleans area families are down in the hotels along Canal Street, looking up at the Sheraton and the Marriott and the Meridian, and all of these hotels are quite full and have been for a couple of days now. And you know, as Blaine Kern, I think it said earlier, Arthur Hardy said earlier today, that's good, because after the World's Fair, the city really took a licking on this, and this has been a really up thing, although most New Orleanians enjoyed the fair, as we did.
Of course, you know, so many hotel rooms also sprung out of the ground during the World's Fair, and they were disappointed. They were disappointed because hotel occupancy was down, but no one's disappointed this season, not this Mardi Gras season.
Watch it.
Excuse us, we're getting beaten up.
We have to defend ourselves here. Watch.
We have a little system. We heads up and we scream at each other to defend ourselves. No, but
there you go. All right.
We have amassing a very nice stack of beads here. Hotel occupancy has been very good, and early on, around Thursday of last week,
a gross of beads in the hip will really get you, folks. It'll set you free.
That's hot bath.
These
material.
hurt too. This is too gross of beads. Excuse me.
But hotel occupancy and business, tourism business in general, was the best in maybe 5 or 6 years. And they were saying that as early as Thursday, this past Thursday, and goodness knows.
Let's wrap it up. We've enjoyed bringing you Mardi Gras at all our locations on Bourbon Street, Lee Circle, the Mask-a-thon, out in Fat City, and at Gallier Hall.
And St. Bernard.
And St. Bernard, last but not least, certainly. And we hope you've enjoyed it. Now we're going to get in on Carnival. We're going to have fun. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a happy Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras. You ready? Let's go.
Ready.
Here you go. Hey.
Here you go.
TV6 coverage of Mardi Gras 85 has been brought to you in part by Burger King. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now? Stay tuned to News Center 6 at 5, 6, and 10 for further Mardi Gras coverage. And at 10:30 p.m., TV6 will present an hour-long special of carnival highlights, followed by the traditional meeting of the courts. It's Mardi Gras 85 on TV6.
crowds were already 5 or 6 people deep along parade routes, and as the day wore on, more and more people gathered for what's predicted to be one of the best Fat Tuesdays in years. Bright, lavishly decorated costumes could be seen in every corner of the city, helping New Orleans live up to her reputation as the city that care forgot. And while it would have been difficult to find someone who was not having the time of his or her life today, the crowds this year in general have been very well behaved. Today, of course, belongs to the king of Carnival. Mark Phillips has this report on Rex.
Rex 1985, H. Devon Graham, arrived at the Rex Den this morning in his jogging outfit. He came straight from the King's Run in Audubon Park, which he, of course, won. After a quick shower, it was time to get dressed in his royal robes and boots. No simple task, mind you. It takes about 2 hours to dress the king. There are occasional pauses to allow Rex a chance to catch his breath and regain his cool. It gets hot underneath all those garments. And prior to his crowning, Rex 1985 is toasted by some of the former kings of Carnival.
Drink to your health, but you have a long reign with no rain.
With that, the final preparations are made. The crown is placed on Devon Graham's head, and his reign as King of Carnival begins. The 24-float Rex parade made its way down St. Charles Avenue to Gallier Hall, where Rex was toasted by New Orleans Mayor Dutch Morial.
As we lift our glass to you on this day and say, Hail Rex, pro bono publico, let us all remember that we all work for the good of the public and for the good of our great city. Hail Rex!
Moments later on Canal Street, Rex toasted his queen, Mary Stuart Smallpage. And with that, Rex rode off to prepare for a night of merriment and then the meeting of the courts of Rex and Comus. Mark Phillips, News Center 6.
Mardi Gras Madness got off to an early start with King Zulu and his queen after a short ceremony on board the Cotton Blossom. It was off to share the coveted coconuts with screaming fans. Reporter Diane Mack and photographer Ernie Bourgeois climbed on board a Zulu float for a very different point of view.
The crowd went crazy over beads, doubloons, dolls, spears, and the precious Zulu coconut. People literally climbed up to the floats in search of anything bearing the Zulu emblem. On board Float 18, titled Beauty and the Beast, The Merrymakers, photographer Arnold Bourgeois got these pictures. And this reporter couldn't resist getting in on the action. The more the crowd screamed, the more I searched for things to throw. Zulu members say being on a float is an experience everyone should try once.
I used to be out there hollering, mister, throw me something, you know? Now I'm the mister. I'm throwing. It makes me feel good.
And what does it feel like to be king or queen for a day?
I was a big shot in '82, and I thought it was great then, but now it's much, much greater.
This is about the most exciting time of my life right now.
For Zulu, the day began with a small setback. Dense fog on the river prevented the traditional boat ride on the Cotton Blossom. The ride upriver is symbolic of the king coming from Africa with his golden nuggets from the mines. But as one can clearly see, that didn't dampen the spirits of Zulu. Those on floats were happy they brought smiles to many with all the carnival throws. Diane Mack, News Center 6.
And as usual, one of the liveliest spots on Mardi Gras Day was right here on Bourbon Street. Let's take a look at some of the craziness that took place right here today.
As a native New Orleanian, I've seen lots of Mardi Gras celebrations, and the crowds I saw today on Bourbon Street were the largest I remember seeing in recent years. Even better, they were well-behaved crowds, enjoying the day, having the best of times without so much as a harsh word. The crew of Balcony was in full bloom along Bourbon Street most of the day, throwing beads and doubloons, often having them thrown back. Once recycled, the throwing from above began again. And what would Bourbon Street be without the perennial appearance of the Half-Fast Walking Club and its founder, Pete Fountain?
Oh, we had trouble. But otherwise, real good. Nobody's in the middle.
But Bourbon Street wasn't the only place for luminaries playing Mardi Gras. Check this action from Gallia Hall.
It's Councilman Mike Early. Mike, I didn't recognize you when you were in that costume. What are you supposed to be?
You mean you can't tell?
No, I don't hang around with people like this.
I'm disappointed. I'm Edwin Edwards in drag.
Edwin Edwards in drag. I didn't know Edwin Edwards went in drag.
Oh, he wears a lot of costumes. Ask the governor, he does. But this is my Edwin Edwards in drag, 1985 Mardi Gras costume.
Edwin Edwards in drag? Well, it was that kind of day. And although it may be too early to make a decision just yet, I think there's a good chance Mardi Gras 1985 will be listed among the great ones in the city's history books.
Mardi Gras starts long before dawn for a lot of people in New Orleans. This morning, Joan Walter spoke with some of those early risers. For years, Don and Helen Perry have begun Mardi Gras in the same way, with a house full of people and fried rice cakes.
I make the calle for breakfast for everybody, and because our house is so close to the parade route, we have about 20 people sleeping on the floor all over the house, so they're all out here this morning now. We start out with a full house. We have 5 kids, so I mean, that's automatic, it's full.
Meanwhile, around the corner at Commander's Palace, Pete Fountain and his half-fast walking club tuned up for a long day of playing and marching. But it was long before dawn that parade watchers began lining up along St. Charles Avenue. They brought lounge chairs, picnic baskets, ladders, playpens, books, and even televisions.
We made sure that we had everything for all ages, from our 1-year-old through all our ages, so that we'd be prepared for all. Suntan lotion and warm clothing and lots of food.
Everything was done last night. Sandwiches, cookies, everything was packed last night.
We're all members at Crown of Life Lutheran Church, and we're decided to come on out to the Avenue and watch all the parades together.
Some of these people say they've been here since 4 this morning. On Mardi Gras, they say there's nothing more important than having a good seat, and losing a couple hours sleep to get it is not a bad investment. Joan Malter, News Center 6 on St. Charles Avenue. Still ahead, the Mask-a-thon.
And we'll go to Jefferson Parish for the celebrations there. Mardi Gras is, well, a family affair. Leslie Hill reports on Jefferson Parish's Mardi Gras celebration.
The Fat Tuesday celebration in Jefferson Parish began with the crew of Grella on the West Bank. 14 floats in all. The theme this year was Glorious Gems of Grella, and people packed the parade route. It was slow going for people trying to get to Jefferson parades from the North Shore due to the thick fog that blanketed the causeway. More than 500,000 people lined Veterans Boulevard waiting for the crew of Argus. Families set up tents last night. Jefferson Parish prides itself in the fact that Mardi Gras is a family celebration in the parish. Point in fact were all the barbecue pits working overtime to cook food fast enough to keep up with all the celebratory drinking.
That this is a family affair. People have been out here, they've got these campers out here, they've got the pup tents, and they're just barbecuing and they're having a good time with all the children.
Throughout the celebration, sheriff's officials said while the crowd was large, it was relatively calm. How the crowd's been this year?
Very nice, real good crowds. Everybody's behaving themselves. It's been a real fine day.
The 360-member crew of Argus, with its 19 floats and more than 20 bands, were generous with carnival treasures. The first king of Argus, Herb Kamat. This year's queen, Michelle Shane. Parish Council Chairman Bob Evans served as Grand Marshal. The huge crowd was also treated to beauty queens. Some in the crowd just couldn't hold back their enthusiasm. Leslie Hill, News Center 6, the Jefferson Bureau.
St. Bernard had its share of Mardi Gras fun today, and Andrea Hall has more on that. It was more than a parade. It was a show of true spirit as St. Bernard residents partied down Judge Perez Drive and St. Bernard Highway for Fat Tuesday. The festivities started with the crew of Araby, the parish's oldest club, which literally brought Mardi Gras to the suburbs. For 22 years, Araby was a walking club until 1957, when it first rolled with homemade floats. It's come a long way since then. These floats are self-propelled. Families took part in the celebration when nearly 15 trucks rolled through. Doubloons, beads, and carnival cups came flying faster than anyone could catch them. The crew of Samson and Delilah asked Mike Sanders and me to ride on the captain's float, and what a ride it was. A toast, just because. One of the newest crews, Atreus, just 3 years old, winded things down in true Mardi Gras splendor. I have to think Mardi Gras 85 in St. Bernard was as much fun as anywhere else. Andrea Hall, News Center 6.
And when we come back, Uncle Dan with the weather.
I'll find out how the weather's going to be for those die-hard revelers.
Pressed right along with him to ride in his parade. Taking my place up on float 19, it did not take long to get caught up in the excitement.
It's been such a great ride, and the excitement of it starts building right now, and will keep up for 3 to 4 hours.
Before long, we were in the thick of the crowds along St. Charles Avenue. And for me, as a first-time float rider, there were a few things to learn about throwing beads.
You know, it's strange how the people down there will zero in on your eyes and play just to you, hoping that you throw them something. And it's irresistible. You can't help it. You're going to find those people and throw it.
My fellow float riders had differing reactions to the crowds.
It's just amazing. You feel like God. Everybody calling you, asks you to throw something. You think they actually know who you are. You think they're talking to you personally. No, you think they're talking to you personally. Just say, mister, that's it. You just throw out in general, or do you pick out people in the crowd? Both. Both. Just keep them moving. It's the idea of it.
Well, whatever the method, it was more fun than I had ever imagined.
Here we are some 6.5 hours later. I've got 2 strands of beads and about 4 or 5 doubloons left. And the parade's just about over, so here goes.
Well, it seemed like only an hour ago that we started this parade. And now it was time to leave the crowds of Canal Street for the silence of the River Gate. What a silence it was.
In Jefferson Parish, things changed from one Mardi Gras to the next, and most New Orleanians like it that way. When the crew of Rex began its reign today, it marked its 104th parade. One of those parades more than a half-century ago, a special meaning for one New Orleans family. Miss Sally Ann Roberts reports.
It's February 16th, 1926, and Rex is greeting his loyal subjects on St. Charles Avenue. Joseph Henneken is the king of Carnival. The automobile is around, but mules are still necessary to pull the heavy floats down St. Charles Avenue and through the crowds on Canal Street.
The crowd is very impressive. The streets are just as packed as they are today. It looks exactly the same. You just look at the clothes that people have on, the mules and the cars that you can see in the background to realize that it wasn't taken a few years ago.
Uptown civic leader Peggy Wilson is Joseph Henneken's granddaughter.
My grandfather was dead before any of his grandchildren were born. So this is the only time that any of us has ever been able to see him actually moving around and alive, although we have some still pictures of him. This is the only one.
Coincidentally, in 1925, Peggy Wilson's husband's grandfather was Rex.
I think that's typical of New Orleans. It's one of the few cities in our country where families stay here. So you do have long generations, succeeding generations who still live in the same community.
Members of the Wilson family have been part of the Rex court for generations. The latest entry into the family Hall of Fame is daughter Bonnie, who this year is a Rex maid. Styles of dress and automobiles have changed since 1926, but Rex and Mardi Gras have not changed, and one gets the impression that they never will. Sally Ann Roberts, Channel 4, Eyewitness News.
And now tonight's editorial with Phil Johnson.
Good evening. No one should be serious on Mardi Gras Day, so we won't be. However, We do reserve the right to be serious tomorrow.
This has been a statement of opinion by the management of this station. If you disagree, we invite your reply.
We don't disagree. That's our news for now. Thank you for watching.
Don't forget the Eyewitness Morning News at 6 with Eric Paulson and Andre Trevine. Have a great day tomorrow, and good night.
Close-up featuring New Orleans' glittering night parades.
Mardi Gras!
To Mardi Gras 1985. Lynn Ganser with Charles Iwi on Canal Street. Right now, let's go to Lee's Circle and Dan and Meg, where Zulu is passing.
Here is Southern University Marching Band. They're from Baton Rouge, and boy, can they ever march, and they're a terrific group.
And just turning on to Lee Circle now, just off of St. Charles, is His Majesty, the King.
Zulu.
King Zulu enjoying himself, obviously.
You know, the way the Zulu organization works is that the king decides who the queen is going to be. And Eddie Carter picked Miss Sharon Jackson as his queen.
It is an honor, isn't it?
Oh, this has got to be one of the biggest honors. Look at that headdress. Can you imagine?
We're back on Canal Street now, where it is building and the crowds are getting bigger and bigger. You're looking at a king and queen ape, I think. We're starting to see a lot of unusual costumes. Right now, let's go to the Mask-a-thon for our very first look at what's going on in the 400 block of Canal Street. Here's Bill Yeager.
You have to what?
We are in the midst of some of the strangest denizens of the city at this moment, and we're also in the midst of what we hope will become a very big part of Mardi Gras for years to come. We're at the Mask-a-thon right on Canal Street in the 400 block. Steve Bellis is over on stage right now. They're in the preliminaries as the judges look over the great number of maskers who are going to be in this contest and then decide who will come back for the finals at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, we've seen all kinds of strange beasties on the stage. You can see them standing back there getting ready to come on. We'll be back here telling you more about this as we go on, but right now, let's toss back to Lynn and Charlie.
Okay, Bill, thank you much.
Thank you, Bill. I want to remind everyone that this is just not the TV6 Mask-a-thon. This is also sponsored by McDonald's Restaurant, the City of New Orleans, and the Rex organization, which will present its very coveted award for the best maskers at our Mask-a-thon. This award will be the Best of Show award.
Let's go back now to the French Quarter and Bob Krieger and
Buddy Diliberto.
Buddy's found one of the great costumers of the day. Buddy, why don't you model this man? You'll notice he has Nopsy and LP&L has guns to his ears, to his head rather. As we turn around, the World's Fair has put a knife in his back, and we have Louisiana taxpayers and Louisiana hayride. Where did you get this wonderful idea? Earth. That was one of the better things he said since we've been talking to him about here today.
Welcome back to Mardi Gras 1985. Lynn Ganser with Charles Iwi on Canal Street, and you are looking at the balcony of the Boston Club. It is beginning to fill up with officers, friends, and it soon will have the Port of Rex.
Let's go now back to the Mask-a-thon with Bill Yeager. Bill, what's going on?
We're at the Mask-a-thon, and as you can well see, the cheerleaders have taken the stage. We're still in the preliminaries here as the judges decide who are going to be the final contestants. The Mask-a-thon is sponsored by TV6 along with the Mayor's Mardi Gras Coordinating Committee, the Rex organization, and McDonald's. They're winding up the preliminary judging right now, and so I guess we need to go back to Charlie and Lynn.
And let's go now to where, Lynn?
To the French Quarter with Bob Krieger and Buddy Diliberto.
Wonderful. Had a wonderful time. It rained on you this year? A little
Oh, we had trouble. But otherwise, feel good.
Nobody in the middle?
What is this? Wonderful time. All the guys having a good time. We're missing a couple guys of sickness, like Bozo. Bozo Bogdanovich and Bozo, he's not with us today. He's one of our officers. But
I asked him if she had a long, long stop in the last block. What happened?
Well, we just had to eat alone.
Sure. Thank you, Peter. Have a good Mardi Gras. Okay, and we're going to try, before we try and sneak back through here, we'll let this crew march up Bourbon Street. Let's go now out to festivities.
And look at the crowds out here. Ann Mulligan and I are seeing. I mean, they were predicting 500,000 people. I think they're here already,
I think the predictions are accurate. They're probably more. It's like a wave of people. And I think Alec and I found one of our favorite groups here that we're going to share with you.
There's the medical crew down there. And I just found out what's in those IV bottles. Scotch and water. Beer from the hospital and scotch and water from the intravenous feeding down there. Back to Canal Street, where Lynn and Charlie are standing by.
Right here in front of the Boston Club, getting everybody in a spirit for when Rex arrives in a little while.
Popular song, Operator. We've been covering parades over the course of the week, and we've been
hearing
all
this stuff,
Operator
huh?
a lot. Yeah, well, I'm dancing the whole time, you know what I mean? Right now, we're going to take a break, and we're going to a commercial.
We're going to see this dancing here in a little while, folks.
And we'll be right back after this message.
H. Devon Graham. See you at the ball. Kind of informal, don't you think? An informal greeting to the crowd.
Someone caught his flag. Someone caught his glass. He didn't get a chance to crash his glass. Look at him.
We should point out, you know, we've been talking about the history and the legacy of Rex in families. One of the pages today.
There she is, Mrs. Betty Graham. Sunglasses in the center of your screen. H. Devon Graham, Rex 1985, going off to complete his rounds today, greeting his subjects.
There he is. Hey!
Now the King's Jesters. Float number 3 in the Rex Parade. What is a royal court without the royal jesters to poke fun at the high and mighty, and even the king himself? Rex never moves without his jesters, and here they are again. The first animated float we're seeing today, the Royal Jesters.
There's the Olympia Brass Band of New Orleans. They really need no introduction.
Olympia Brass
The old Dixieland Marching Jazz Band performed for Rex. Rex considers the Dixieland Band a symbol of New Orleans, and how true. And here comes the theme float for this Rex Parade. The title float, Nature's Royalty. Title float announces this year's theme, and His Majesty will show us some of nature's splendor. Another animated float with the twisting and turning hoot owl.
Now, float number 6, Princess Feather. The uncommon herb called Princess Feather is depicted here, where herb gardens since medieval times have flourished. They're depicted in a monastery. Before his serene stone waters, a large cowled monk offers a bowl of red-spiked regal herb.
Those
number
are
6,
beautiful.
Princess Feather.
Beautiful.
Now the Naval ROTC Honor Guard from the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. Again, you're looking at live pictures of Bourbon Street now. People are begging for beads from the balconies. That's always a popular pastime as the day wears on. And they also beg for other things, but we won't get into that.
Good.
Here now, more live
St.
pictures
Bernard.
from St. Bernard with the Samson and Delilah parade. Mike Sanders, and you saw Andrea Hall taking part in that parade there. This is a male and female organization formed in 1983. It has 135 members, and this year 11 floats are in the parade, including 6 double-deckers and 2 mini floats with 6 princesses. And the favorite throws are the crew logo garters and bikinis and the rare 10-gauge purple anodized doubloons. The theme this year, as you may or may not have heard Mike Sanders say earlier, is facts, fiction, and fables, and it is their 3rd parade. This is the St. Aug Purple Knights, St. Augustine. This colorful group of 180 members strong is one of our local high school bands making their 18th appearance at the Rex Parade by popular demand. Under the direction of Mr. Edwin Hampton, this band has performed for many of the New Orleans Saints football games and many, many carnival parades. Let's listen to the song they're going to play.
I bet I know it.
You've got what makes New Orleans great.
TV6 theme song. Here's float number 9, Emperor Penguin. This is a wonderful float. Just beautiful blues and whites. It's hydraulic animation. The Emperor Penguin marches to and fro over the glittering snowbanks of Antarctica. His polar domain is aglow with icy caverns and enormous snowflakes.
Now,
here is float number 15, King Cotton. Look at the majestic float. This float recalls the theme of our first World Exposition in 1884 and the founding of Audubon Park in 1885. Of course, that was the site of Louisiana's first World's Fair 100 years ago. A genial King Cotton is pictured before an imposing arcade of glass and steel surrounded by cotton blossoms and magnolias. And I suppose in the year 2085, they will be showing the riverfront area where the old 1984 World's Fair was.
Well, that's
100 years before.
That'll be up to some other anchor team, I'm afraid. I don't plan to be around.
I don't want to be around.
But getting on talking about this float, this is one of the floats where Blaine Kern has tried to use fabric on the float. The king's beard here and his mantle, along with the cuffs on his sleeve, actually feel like cotton. There's a synthetic fabric that gives the look of cotton. And this is something new, used in several parades this year, and certainly it's something
very well done. A very nice effect.
Certainly, it's something new in the Rex parade this year. It gives a very realistic look. And there you see a close-up look at King Cotton, float number 15.
Next float is the Royal Fern, float number 16. Clusters of royal fern cascade in a verdant splendor. Remind us also of nature's bounty. Myriad fronds dance in a tropical breeze, a beautiful setting further enhanced by brilliant hued macaws, which are perched throughout the scene. One of my favorite birds, the macaws. And here the riders in Rex are dressed as fern.
And here we are out at Metairie one more time, and at last, the parade is showing up in our shot.
Right, and we can see the first float, which is the captain's float, and I hope you can get a good look at this magnificent peacock, which is standing guard over this marvelous float. You can see the gorgeous plumes, and that's courtesy, we should say, of NBC, maybe.
Yes, the following parade is brought to you in living color by NBC, and that's Captain Joe Gorman riding atop that float. We're just getting the first units that are coming into view here. There are 21 floats in the Argus parade, and by the way, it's kind of interesting this year. For the very first time, the Argus has a king.
That's right, the first year, although this is the 8th parade out here in Metairie, once again, we'll be here to show you the whole crew of Argus.
As it happens live, so stay tuned. Now back to whatever else is going on in this mad city of ours.
Well, we've got a great band marching down Canal Street.
This is the Kennedy High School Band, Lynn. From right here in New Orleans, the Kennedy High School Band.
Float number 18 is the Imperial Dragon. Of all the dragons known to mythology and legend, it was the Imperial Dragon of China which symbolized the power of the emperor. It alone had 5 claws. All other dragons had but 3. The Imperial Dragons are seen entwined throughout the fascinating porcelain tiles of the Forbidden City. And of course, I was in China last year, and the Forbidden City doesn't quite look like that.
But look at the colors. If the Forbidden City were in New Orleans, it would look like that, right?
You're right. You're right. This is float number 20, the Queen Bee. A swarm of bees hover around the many tiered rings of their hive, and the focus of their attention, Her Majesty, the Queen Bee, and rightly so, in the Rex Parade. An intricate pattern of honeycomb flowers and tendrils illustrate the bees' fabled history. Killer bees. No, not killer bees.
No.
These are Rex bees. These are, and they're beautiful bees.
Coming up into view now is the Bell Junior High School Band. From here in New Orleans, the Andrew J. Bell Junior High School Band. This has got to be a thrill of a lifetime for these youngsters to march in this Rex Parade. This, of course, is a local band under the direction of Donald Richardson and has received awards and recognition from many organizations. They've also had the privilege of performing in Europe. The Andrew Bell Junior High School Band.
With more of our coverage of Mardi Gras 1985 right after this. In just a few seconds, or a bay tree, which remained henceforth the favorite tree of the sun god. The laurel wreath thus became the symbol of triumph in the ancient world. And we saw a shot of the sun god, or a reasonable facsimile of him on the previous float. Royal Bay.
And again, more pink. I think pink is a very popular color with both the costumers and the float makers this year.
Well, it's so festive. Here's float number 25, the Monarch Butterfly. I think this is one of my favorites so far. I do love butterflies. A colony of monarch butterflies bedazzle the fortunate beholder as they immigrate across the southern sky. The gorgeousness of their colors, the profusion of their wings dims the very brightness of the blue skies.
Seeing all those fellas on board that float there with butterfly wings is something else.
Yeah.
Of course, on Carnival, you can be anything you like.
That's right. These men do not wear butterfly wings, nor do they wear bright magenta clothes.
Now, float number 26, the Royal Palm. And Jubilation, by the way, is the live music on board this float under the direction of Mr. Leland Bennett. The Royal Palm, so abundant in Polynesia, is depicted in a dazzling island display. The intricately tattooed face of a mighty chieftain glares before the prow of a decorated war canoe.
Back on Canal Street now, the Rex Parade has stopped. The 26th...
I took a little seat.
Yeah, I was going to say,
was actually,
easy for you.
Want to see me do my Russian dance? I can do my Russian dance like this.
I cannot sit. I've got a hoop that sticks out from here to Metairie, and I cannot sit down. But the Royal Palm, we've been enjoying Jubilation, entertaining right in front of the Boston Club. Here comes a whoop.
He got you. Rex Parade is still, and he almost got me.
Okay.
And here comes another one. All right, go.
They're super balls. We're not very good. Maybe we ought to stick to anchoring and not catching or anything. Watch this one.
You got it. Yeah. By the way, we want to tell everybody that the Argus Parade will be immediately following shortly when it gets to the position where Ann Mulligan and Alec Gifford are. And we'll be back with more of Mardi Gras 1985 right after this.
The Argus Parade is proceeding with Ann and Alec.
Well, we're about halfway through that parade right now. Kind of funny, though. It's turning the corner into Suburban right now off of Veterans Highway, and it hasn't even made it back down the other side of Suburban yet. Be patient, Ann.
That's right. Alec and I are straining our eyes to try to figure out what float is what, but there sure is a lot of activity out here today. As we said, probably 500,000 people just sprawled all over the street.
Okay, Alec and Ann, thank you very much. There you see the final units of the Rex Parade still halted here in front of the Boston Club.
That's a scene you see all over New Orleans today. Children on their daddies' shoulders and daddies dancing.
Here you can see the Elks crew of Orleanians finally making their way onto Canal Street after what has been a very long ride for them this morning, and it's going to be longer.
We're back on Canal Street now with the lead floats in the Elks Truck Parade. And look at the animation there. And the color. The color is fantastic. A deep, deep pink.
Of course, the Elks are always known for their generosity. The truck crews, no matter whether they're Elks or the Crescent's crew of Orleanians, always known for their generosity. And these are not the only truck crews in Jefferson. Truck crews are also following Argus. And there are also truck crews on the West Bank following Grella this afternoon. Again, the Elks are waiting for Rex to clear Canal Street, and then they will proceed on up Canal Street toward the cemeteries.
Part of the reason, again, the parade is stopped, at least in our part of the street, is because the Queen and her court are getting into limousines. Right now, let's go to Fat City and check in with Ann and Alec.
Big doings out here in Metairie right now. I mean, this parade is really going by right now. That one back there is the Festival de San Jacinto. Tell us about it.
Well, that's right, because this the theme of this parade is famous American festivals, and you can see on this float a giant figure of a Mexican señora wearing a huge sombrero and then a colorful serape at the head of this float. But they all depict various festivals or carnivals that go on around the United States.
You know the one that's missing from there, don't you? The festival called Mardi Gras, USA, New Orleans is missing.
Surrounding us, Alec. We're not missing it.
That's right. They should have a float dedicated to that.
Right down in the thick of the crowd.
And look,
this is one way to keep warm with your children. Isn't that sweet?
My little munchkins. This is Scotty, who is 4. And this is Charles, who is... Scotty's not yet 4. Scotty will be 4 in June. I'm going to hear from the family about that one, folks. Anyway, Scotty's dressed up as a little cowboy. Y'all had a good time today, boys? You did? You caught a lot of stuff here, Scotty? You caught a ball, I know, and a pair of beads.
A World's Fair pin?
They're too young to go where Buddy and Bob Krieger are, but let's go to Bourbon Street anyway.
Don't look, boys.
Well, here we are on Bourbon Street again, and you're looking at the madding crowd down here. My goodness, the crowd's having a good time riding throwing beads from the balcony. We have a gentleman here, one quick second. We have a gentleman, you're from Rhode Island?
Providence, Rhode Island.
This your first Mardi Gras?
First Mardi Gras.
What do you think of it?
It's wonderful. I've never seen anything like this in my whole life.
Would you come back?
Yes, I would, anytime.
Do they do this in Providence?
Never. Never. They haven't done it anywhere, never mind Providence.
Thank you, sir. Have a good time.
It looks like Bourbon Street's just starting to get wound up, folks.
They are.
Let's go to...
What's going on with Clancy?
Cardinal Political. What's up, Clancy?
Well, there's not much politics going on here, but we do have a lot of maskers, and we're still getting pelted with a lot of beads. And one masker that I picked out, it was kind of hard to recognize him because he's usually a little more distinguished looking, but it's Councilman Mike Early. Mike, I didn't recognize you when you were in that costume. What are you supposed to be? You mean you can't tell? No, I don't hang around with people like this. I'm disappointed. I'm Edwin Edwards in drag. Edwin Edwards in drag. I didn't know Edwin Edwards went in drag. Oh, he wears a lot of costumes. Ask the governor, he does. But this is my Edwin Edwards in drag.
It took place during the carnival season of 1874. And since that time, it has become an established custom. Now Comus and his queen rise to meet the approaching royalty. The entire ceremony is directed on the ballroom floor by the captain of Comus.
Yeah, like this one.
By Mr. Brooke H. Duncan and the captain of the Cactus organization. The melody you're hearing in the background is the traditional theme of Mardi Gras, If Ever I Cease to Love. The captain of Comus first escorts the Queen of Carnival to her position for the Grand March. The Queen is Miss Mary Stewart Smallpage, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Devden Smallpage. Her page is Master Patrick Kerrigan McCausland, son of Mr. and Mrs. Patrick Marson McCausland. Miss Mary Stewart Smallpage, Queen of Carnival. captain now escorts the mythical god of mirth, Comus, to his position beside the Queen of Carnival. He places Comus to her left in order that the Queen of Carnival may hold her scepter in her right hand. Comus greets the lovely Queen of Carnival for 1985. Comus are Master Davis Andre Trousdale, son of Mr. and Mrs. George W. Trousdale, Jr., and Master John Alston Riddick, son of Dr. and Mrs. Frank Adams Riddick, Jr. Captain now escorts the Queen of Comus, Miss Allison Wood White, to her position for the Grand March. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Forrest White. The pages to the Queen are Master Peter Walmsley, son of Mr. and Mrs. Robert M. Walmsley, Jr., and Master Jonathan C. McCall, Jr., son of Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan C. McCall. And with graceful movement, she is placed just back of the Queen of Carnival. Carnival, known in public life as H. Devon Graham, Jr., is now being placed beside the Queen of Comus. He will stand to her left. The page to His Majesty is Master Benjamin Arnold Dupuy, son of Mr. Homer Joseph Dupuy III and Mrs. Anne Kaplan Dupuy. Monarchs and their queens are now in position for the Grand March. At the signal of the captain, and with the members of the royalty and their courts in readiness, the Grand March will begin. The procession will completely encircle the ballroom as the orchestra plays the Grand March from the opera Aida. The maids of the Comus Court are Miss Michelin Beauregard Avenue, daughter of Mrs. Beauregard Bernard Avenue and the late Mr. Avenue. Miss Alice Kane Blair, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Edwin James Blair. Miss Susan Owen Hartner, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Quinton Theodore Hartner III. Miss Carolyn McKay Page, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John M. Page. Miss Jacqueline Laurie Provosti, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Michael Olivier Provosti. Miss Ashley Walker Simmons, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Richard Lawrence Simmons. Of the Rex Court are Miss Sidonie Evans Schmidt, escorted by Mr. Clay Parker Kearney. Miss Mittie Elizabeth Kelleher, escorted by Mr. Pierce Aldrich Hammond III. Miss Nancy LaBouisse, escorted by Mr. Clayton Cook Gary. Miss Elizabeth LaPierre Gordon, escorted by Mr. Christopher Halpin Nolby. Miss Virginia Lewis Wyman, escorted by Mr. Donald Lucius King, Jr. Miss Elizabeth Moncrief B., escorted by Mr. Charles Lyne Gamble III. Miss Alice Moaning Wilson, escorted by Mr. John Cox Carey. And Miss Barbara Crosby Bell, escorted by Mr. George William Clay. Comus and the Queen of Carnival are now being escorted to the throne. Now Rex and the Queen of Comus are being escorted to their positions beside Comus and the Queen of Carnival. To the audience from the monarchs and their queens. And now the dancing begins with another song that has become traditional, the Jolly Coppersmith.
Okay, thank you.
And what time do you want to get up tomorrow? Is it all? Well, just tell me what time you think you want to get up.
Miss White, Queen of Comus, is resplendent in a dazzling gown of silver-embroidered French brocade. Delicate design of oriental branches with buds and blossoms is drawn horizontally against a background of vertical bands of luminous silver threads. The entire gown is sumptuously embellished with silver bugle beads, crystals and brilliants, emerald cut, half moon, round and pear-shaped. The bodice is fashioned with a wide décolletage, defined with silver bugle beads, and the elongated waist is dramatically highlighted with a lavishly jeweled hip band, heavily encrusted with silver bugle beads, pearls, and a profusion of diamonds of every size and shape. The skirt is slightly flared and sweeps gracefully into a regal court train. Triple rows of silver bugle beads pattern the lower part of the skirt and train, ascending to irregular peaks, from which fall strands of shimmering bugle beads and shining Austrian crystals. The Queen wears the traditional Medici collar of silver lace, flashing with rhinestones. From her regal collar falls the Comus mantle, cloth of silver, deeply bordered with white ermine and embroidered with silver floral designs. In the center shines the Comus emblem of 3 plumes. Her crown, scepter, and necklace are delicately fashioned with the design of lilies of the valley with movable blossoms. These jewels have been given to each Queen of Comus since its beginning before the Civil War. Miss Allison Wood White, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Forrest White, was born Valentine's Day, February 14, 1964. She attended Metairie Park Country Day School, where she was a 13-year veteran. Allison had a very busy high school career, being an honor student and a letterman in 4 sports, achieving all state honors in both volleyball and soccer. She's now a junior at Vanderbilt University, an active member of Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, and an active participant in sports, from Vanderbilt's volleyball team to the sorority flag football teams. Her other interests include needlepoint, horseback riding, reading, and of course, travel. She has thoroughly enjoyed her debutante year. 1985 Queen of Comus, Miss Allison Wood White. Queen of Carnival, greets her loyal subjects in a spectacular gown of shimmering gold Austrian lace over luxuriant cloth of gold. The neckline of the gown is dramatically V'd in front and back and encrusted with jeweled leaves, fashioned of gold bugle beads with flashing aurora borealis centers. The bodice is slightly elongated and traced in an elaborate floral design resembling topaz sunbursts, drawn with gold seed beads, gold bugle beads, and Austrian aurora crystals. Subtle rainbow hues emanate from the crystal prisms of aurora teardrops, suspended from threads of gold at the flower centers. Her flowing skirt is a combination of alternating panels, slender ribbons of gold bugle beads, and panels of embellished lace appliques. The center back panel, which forms a regal court train, is an inverted pleat, sparkling with radiating bands of gold bugle beads. The wide, graceful hemline is scalloped and beaded with a dazzling array of diamond and gold aurora borealis brilliance. Miss Mary Stuart Smallpage, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. John Benton Smallpage of New Orleans, is 20 years old and was graduated from Academy of the Sacred Heart. She has completed 2 years of college at Southern Methodist University and the fall semester of her junior year in Paris on the SMU program. She's a business major and has returned to Dallas to complete her college education at SMU, where she's a member of Pi Beta Phi fraternity. As a teenager, she spent 1 semester of her senior year as an exchange student at Stone Ridge Country Day School in Washington, D.C. While in the nation's capital, she worked in the staff office and the Escort Presidential Advance Office as a volunteer. As part of her volunteer training at Sacred Heart, She served as a clerk to Judge Oliver Delaray in the New Orleans Traffic Court. Her special interest is children, and she has worked at Kingsley House and as an instructor of special education of students at the Volunteers of America, and as a swimming counselor at Camp Riva Lake in Winchester, Tennessee. This past summer, she worked as a guide at the United States Pavilion. She has traveled extensively in Europe, spending one summer in Innsbruck on the UNO summer school program, and traveled to England and France, Italy, Germany, and Switzerland. Water sports are her special hobbies, and she also enjoys golf, tennis, and skating in her free time. 1985 Queen of Carnival, Miss Mary Stewart Smallpage.
Mississippi. Mr. Graham attended Mississippi State University, receiving a B.S. in accounting. He graduated with honors in 1956. After graduation, he joined Arthur Anderson and Company in Houston. He entered the military in 1957, served as a lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and was stationed in Germany for 2.5 years. He returned to the firm in Houston in 1959, was admitted to the partnership in 1968, and shortly thereafter moved to New Orleans. In 1970, became managing partner of the New Orleans office. Served on the first chairman's advisory council for the firm. Served on the board of partners for the past 6 years and was elected chairman of the board last year. His civic and social activities include past president of the board of the United Way for the Greater New Orleans area and was chairman of the 1977 United Way campaign for Greater New Orleans. Past chairman of the board of Metairie Park Country Day School. Past president of the Metropolitan Crime Commission. Past council president of the New Orleans Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America. Past president and treasurer of the New Orleans Philharmonic Symphony and current chairman of the Symphony Board of Directors. Mr. H. Devon Graham, Jr., the 1985 King of Carnival. Organization is a secret society and never publicly reveals its membership or where or when it meets. An invitation to the Comus Ball is strictly personal. The admittance card may be used only by the person to whom it has been issued. It may not be given or loaned to anyone else. The invitations themselves are beautiful examples of the lithographer's art. Comus always carries a silver champagne goblet instead of a scepter. And according to tradition, it is never empty. The Comus organization presents the champagne goblet to Comus as a gift. The Queen of Comus receives a tiara, which is a miniature of the crown she is wearing. The mantles are provided for both Comus and his queen, though they are retained by the organization. The mantle for the queen is sent to her home or to her dressmaker so that it may be fitted to her gown. The mantles are fashioned on a cloth of silver, with an ermine border. The designs are of sequins and rhinestones. The Queen's attire, as well as that of her maids, is provided by their respective families. The Queen's jewels consist of her crown, necklace, and scepter. Before the days of television, scenes such as these were restricted to those very few who are invited guests of Comus. But now, through the medium of television, the public is able to see what happens during this, the last half hour of the carnival season. Just as Mobile is an older city than New Orleans, the formal celebration of Mardi Gras was inaugurated in Mobile earlier than it was in New Orleans. Indeed, it was a small group of transplanted Mobilians who organized the Mystic Crew of Comus in 1857, the oldest carnival organization in New Orleans. On January 3rd, 1857, the 6 original members sent out this notice to a group of their friends. You are requested to meet a few of your friends at the club room over the gym on Royal Street on Saturday the 10th at 7 o'clock. The meeting drew 13 in addition to the 6 organizers. At a second meeting, the group grew to 58. And finally, when the Mystic Crew emerged in its first parade on Mardi Gras night, 1857, the roster listed 83 members. Since 1857, the Comus Ball has been held at the following sites: the Varieties Theater, the French Opera House, the Grand Opera House, the Orpheum Theater, and of course the Municipal Auditorium. The identity of the king of the Mystic Crew is never publicly revealed. Comus may hide behind a mask, but ballroom gossip quickly identifies him. Comus is the only carnival deity to substitute a goblet for the usual regal scepter. Revelry is always associated with a cup that cheers. Comus is the son of Bacchus, the Roman god of wine. In 1874, the now 111-year tradition of the King of Carnival and his consort calling on Comus was inaugurated. Comus had been in existence for 17 years when W.S. Pike, Rex of 1874, and his Queen of Carnival, Margaret McGinnis, visited Comus and his court at the Varieties Theater. The present scenario for Rex's visit to Comus, generally called the Meeting of the Courts, dates back to 1936, when both Rex and Comus balls were held at the Municipal Auditorium for the first time. Comus had installed the festivities in the auditorium in 1930, but it was not until 6 years later that Rex followed. and his queen ride along with the King and Queen of Carnival to make ready for their departure. Comus and his queen will depart first. This is the final toast to the audience. The Queen will be escorted by a lieutenant of Comus. Miss Allison Wood White, Queen of Comus for 1985. Comus and his queen bid farewell to their captain. The Queen of Comus being escorted out of the ballroom by the captain. Comus departs, escorted by his captain. Comus makes his final gesture to the audience. Comus and his queen have now made their departure. The King and Queen of Carnival will now leave. small page, Queen of Carnival for 1985. The captain of Comus is now escorting the Queen of Carnival out of the ballroom. Make his departure. The captain of Comus and the king of Carnival. Graham Jr., King of Carnival for 1985. The moment has come when the incredible joy and splendor of the 1985 Mardi Gras comes to an end. Today has been one gigantic party for residents and visitors alike. A party as international as its international city. Indulgence and merriment is as old as the human race. And in the manner in which New Orleans celebrates, it is no wonder the world calls it the city that care forgot. Rene Luop and his society orchestra provided the music. Television permission granted by Local 174, 496, American Federation of Musicians. Special lighting effects by W.H. Spangenberg Incorporated and the International Stage Employees 39. The meeting of the courts of Comus and Rex. Queen's attire described by Ann Merritt. This program was directed for television by Steve Griggs. This is Terry Gershner.
Governor Edwin Edwards entered his second administration with a popularity unmatched since Huey Long. Yet his career has been surrounded by controversy. The World's Fair, the tax increase, the Saints, and 3 grand jury investigations. Has all of this affected his ability to govern our state? In a candid interview, News Center 6 political specialist Clancy Dubose talks to Governor Edwards to find out his feelings on his past, present, and his future. Edwin, starting Wednesday on News Center 6 at 6 and 10.